Welcome back, my friends. I am Connor, your personal YouTube English teacher, and this is English is Easy. Today, we have a monster of a lesson, a hugely important video for you guys, 50 English idioms that you need to know. Yes, I have taken the most commonly heard, seen, and spoken English idioms or expressions and combined all of them into one mega video. So this is something you guys are going to want to watch all the way through. In order to make sure that we learn these idioms most effectively or in the best way possible, we're going to begin with two different definitions of the idioms. Why not one definition? Well, by rewording the definition or rephrasing what it means, we can understand it from a different angle, from a new perspective. Next, we will see each of these idioms used correctly in context. We will read it in a sentence or in a paragraph and better understand how it's used out in the real world. Third, we have an optional speaking practice prompt, okay? So you will have the option to pause the video after each idiom and respond to a question that I will give you, a prompt that I will give you, and actually use the word out loud to improve your spoken English. If you guys are ready to dive in to this mega lesson, make sure you click like on this video, leave me a comment to help with the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you are a subscriber on my channel so you never miss another video. And let's jump in. Our first idiom for today is burn the midnight oil. Burn the midnight oil. And of course, midnight is 12 o'clock a.m. Okay, now what does it mean? The definition: to work late into the night or to stay up late working on something. Okay, so an example or this word used in context might be, she had to burn the midnight oil to finish her project on time. It was a lot of work, but she managed to get it done. Okay, we have this woman and she is burning the midnight oil in order to finish her project on time. Maybe there's a deadline coming up for this project. Maybe the deadline is pressing or it's coming up very soon and she has to do a lot of work. She has to really get into it and roll up her sleeves, but she does manage to get it done. Now, why does she manage to get it done? Because she was willing to burn the midnight oil. She was willing to work late into the night, to stay up late working on this project. Now, here is a speaking practice prompt for you guys. Once again, this is optional. You don't have to. But if you would like to practice your speaking, you can pause the video and respond to this question. Can you recall a time when you had to burn the midnight oil? What were you working on, right? So maybe this was for school. Maybe this was for work. You were up late working on a big project, and in order to complete the project on time, you had to burn the midnight oil. I know for me personally, I often burn the midnight oil when I stay up late editing YouTube videos when I really should just be going to sleep. Up next, we have hit the nail on the head. Yeah, here's a hammer. And of course, a nail looks like this, right? So what does it mean? It means to be exactly right about something, to accurately describe or solve something, okay? So I think it's best to take a look at the example for this one. When she suggested that we needed more time for the project, she hit the nail on the head. Everyone agreed that we were rushing things. We were rushing things. We were going too fast, okay? They need to slow down. So this woman, she makes a suggestion. She tells her group that, you know what? Actually, we need more time for this project, for this thing that we're working on. And by saying that, she was exactly right. She was totally correct, okay? And she hit the nail on the head because she hit the nail on the head, everyone agreed. Okay, so for the speaking practice portion, can you think of a time when you hit the nail on the head with your opinion or suggestion? You know, oftentimes I'm trying to remember a celebrity's name, right? I see their face in a movie and I think, what was their name? What was their name? And my wife is really good with remembering names. So she will often, let me know who the celebrity is. She'll say, oh, that's so and so. And I'll say, you hit the nail on the head. That's it. You nailed it. Okay. That's another way of thinking about this expression. You nailed it. Up next, we have caught between a rock and a hard place. Okay, here's a rock right here. Here's a brick wall on the other side. Okay, the rock is hard. Oof, it would hurt to hit it with your hand. The brick wall is hard. Oof, it would also hurt to hit it with your hand. What does it mean? It means you are faced with two difficult choices. Okay, you have two options and they're both tough. They're both not easy. It's a situation where you must choose between two unpleasant options. Okay, so these are not your favorite options. Here's somebody looking a little bit distraught, a little bit unhappy. They're making an unpleasant face, right? So here's an example. He was caught between a rock and a hard place when he had to choose between his job and moving to a new city. Neither option was easy, and he didn't know what to do. Okay, so in this situation, right, he had to make a decision and choose between his job and moving to a new city. Now, if he keeps his job, he's going to lose the opportunity to move to a new, exciting city. So that's why the first option is a rock, because it's unpleasant. He really wants to go to this new city. Okay, but if he goes to the new city, then he loses his job. So that's the HP. That's the hard place, okay? Both options are not ideal. Ideal, okay? Both options are not ideal, or I can say neither option is ideal. Okay, for the speaking practice, have you ever been caught between a rock and a hard place? What were the choices? Yeah, maybe there was a point in your life where you had to make a really difficult decision. I know that I've been caught between a rock and a hard place many times with my work. Like quitting my job and going to a new position, maybe there's some benefits to it, but there's also some drawbacks. And so I'm left with this decision, do I keep my current job and lose out on a new opportunity, or do I go to a new job and risk some uncertainty? How about you guys? Up next, we have costs an arm and a leg. Okay, this is a pretty simple one. It just means very expensive. Costs a lot of money. Okay, so let's take a look at the example. The new car costs an arm and a leg. I'm not sure if it's worth the price, but it's certainly out of my budget. Hey, what is a budget? A budget is the amount of money that you are able to spend. You make a salary, you have an income, and you need to manage that money. You need to decide how it's spent so that you don't accidentally spend too much, right? That's called having a budget, or we can also say budgeting. Okay, so in this example, we're taking a look at a new car, and the new car, it's super expensive, right? It costs an arm and a leg. Now, I want you guys to think about how valuable your arms and legs are to you, right? So parting with them or losing an arm and a leg would be a big loss. Okay, that's why we use this expression to give up your arm. Your arm is a really valuable thing in your life. Same with your legs. So if it costs an arm and a leg, it feels like, oh man, it's just such a big ask. We can also say a big ask. Okay, so speaking practice, what's something you wanted to buy but decided not to because it cost an arm and a leg? You know, I'll be honest, recently I have invested in a lot of new equipment for my YouTube videos. I talked about this last time: new phone, microphone, lights, computer. Actually, all of these things cost me an arm and a leg. So I guess I'm totally out of arms and legs at this point. But what about you guys? You can pause the video. Let me know. Hit the road. Hit the road. What does it mean? It means to leave or start a journey. A journey, another way we can think about that, is a trip, okay? To depart or begin traveling. Here's probably the best way to think about it: to begin traveling. So we need to hit the road early tomorrow to avoid traffic. You don't want to get caught up in traffic, okay? You don't want to get caught up in traffic. In other words, you don't want to be stuck in the middle of all these different cars. It's going to be a long drive to our destination, or the place you are headed, the place you are going. So, okay, if you want to get there, okay, if you want to get there on time, then you need to hit the road early. Okay, maybe wake up a little bit early, get on the road, or hit the road early. Otherwise, you might be caught up in this nasty traffic, okay? That's something that these people want to avoid, all right? So when was the last time you had to hit the road early? Maybe you guys can talk about your commute to work. You know, your commute to work, do you get caught up in the early morning traffic or the morning rush hour? The morning rush hour when everybody is, hustling and bustling around, trying to get to their jobs. Is that something you have to deal with in the morning? At what time do you need to wake up to hit the road and be on your way to work? Luckily for me, I work from home. I don't have to deal with that. I wanted to take a quick second here and give a tremendous, that just means big, thank you to everyone who likes my videos, who leaves me a comment, because they know commenting on a YouTube video boosts the visibility of it and the YouTube algorithm. And of course, everyone who subscribed. An extra special thank you to my channel members, the people who have clicked the join button and become channel members. Okay, everybody in this list here, we now have 10 channel members. Okay, by becoming a member, you get lots of perks, lots of benefits. You get access to bonus videos. You get PDFs of all my lessons so that you can follow along at home. You get to vote on upcoming video topics, and you get shout outs in my video just like this one. So thank you guys so much. You make my work here on YouTube possible. Let's keep going. Throw in the towel. Throw in the towel. It means to give up, to admit defeat, to surrender. Yeah, I was going to draw a picture of a white flag, but I can see I put an emoji here already. To stop trying, okay? So after several unsuccessful attempts, they decided to throw in the towel. It was clear that they weren't going to achieve their goal this time, okay? So to them, it's clear that they're not going to be successful. They're not going to achieve what? Achieve their goal, okay? So this time, they are throwing in the towel. There were several or multiple unsuccessful attempts. That means they tried many times and it didn't work. So for now, they are giving up. They are surrendering. They are throwing in the towel. Is there a situation where you guys had to throw in the towel? Maybe you were trying hard to make something happen, to make something work. It wasn't going well, and you ended up throwing in the towel? Let me know. The ball is in your court. We can see a tennis ball here. It means it's your decision or responsibility to do something. Here's a better way of thinking about it. The next move or action is up to you. Okay, so we've done all we can. Now the ball is in your court. It's up to you to decide how we move forward. Okay, so imagine that two people are playing tennis, right? We're looking down at them. Here's one person, here's the other, kind of a bird's eye view looking down at them. And, this person, they hit the ball over to this side. And now the ball is in his court, okay? He needs to be the one to return the ball or hit it back, okay? So basically it means I did my part. Now it's time for you to do your part, okay? So can you describe a time when the ball was in your court, okay? Maybe you are interviewing for a new job, and in the interview process, you have an online interview, and the interview goes really well. And, the interview is over, you're feeling good about it, and you can think to yourself, okay, I did my part. I showed up for the interview. Now the ball is in their court. It's their decision as to what happens next in this process. You guys can pause the video. Let me know. Pull someone's leg. Pull on their leg, right? It means to joke or tease someone, to trick or prank someone in a playful way. Yeah, not in a mean-spirited way, not to, because sometimes tease can mean make fun of. If somebody has a big nose, you say, haha, you have a big nose. That's mean-spirited, right? It's teasing them in a bad way. It's making fun of them, or maybe we could say bullying them. Okay, but if you pull someone's leg, it's playful, it's light, it's fun, it's not a huge deal. Okay, so don't worry, I'm just pulling your leg. There's no real emergency. Sounds like the person in this example, he is teasing somebody. He's played a joke on them. Maybe it's a trick or a prank. And the second person, the other person in this example, maybe they were worried that there was an emergency. But the first person says, don't worry. I'm just pulling your leg. Okay? Do you enjoy pulling people's legs? Share an instance when you did. Have you ever played a prank on someone? I remember in high school, I took a small cup of water and put it on top of a door in my house. When my sister walked through, the water fell on her head. Okay, now that was a prank. And maybe that was a little bit too much, because if I told her, don't worry, I'm just pulling your leg. Well, she's all wet, right? Maybe to her, that's not so playful. That's not so funny. It depends on your perspective. You guys can pause the video. Let me know. A piece of cake. A piece of cake. We can see a piece of cake right here. I bet you guys have heard this one before. It's a very common idiom, a very commonly used expression, meaning something that's very easy to do. A task that is simple and effortless. That means it does not take any effort, okay? Does not take any effort. It's really easy for you, okay? So the exam was a piece of cake. I finished it in just half an hour without any problems. So to this person, the exam or the test, sounds like they're still in school, probably. It was really easy for them. They finished in just half an hour, so they finished quickly. They did not run into any problems. They finished without any problems. Sounds like they're a very good test taker, and this exam might not have been so easy for the other people who took it. So how about you guys? Can you think of a recent task that was a piece of cake for you? On the weekends, I have a weekend job, and a lot of the work my boss asks me to do is really a piece of cake. Just respond to emails, prepare some files, do a PowerPoint, organize Excel spreadsheets. They're really easy tasks, so I can say, it's a piece of cake. Back to the drawing board. Back to the drawing board. Really useful, really colloquial expression here, meaning to start over because the previous attempt failed. Previous just means the last attempt. The one before this did not work, right? To begin planning again after a failure. So basically, if you make a big mistake or you mess up, okay, it's time to go back to the drawing board and try again and sort of rethink. We can say rethink your strategy. Think about your approach again. Reconsider your approach, okay, or what you're going to do to make this goal happen. The prototype didn't work, so it's back to the drawing board for our team. Maybe they're trying to invent something like a new piece of technology. A prototype is kind of the first iteration of it, okay, the first model of it. But sadly, this prototype, it doesn't work. So this team needs to go back to the drawing board and try again. They need to rethink their strategy because they messed up. How about you guys? Have you ever had to go back to the drawing board when you were working on a new project or a new idea? I know that for me personally, I've had to go back to the drawing board many times with one of my hobbies, creative writing. I like to write stories, and oftentimes, a draft of a story doesn't go very well. I feel that I didn't plan thoroughly enough, or there's something missing. So I go back to the drawing board and I think it all through all over again. What about you guys? I love this expression, through thick and thin, okay? Supporting someone in good times and bad, remaining loyal, okay, or devoted to them, loyal to them during both the good and the difficult times, okay? So if you are very lucky, then you have someone in your life who is like this. They will stand by your side through the good times as well as the bad times, through the thick and thin. Through thick and thin, they are by your side. They stand with you, okay? They've been friends through thick and thin, always there for each other no matter what. No matter what is really talking about the difficult times, right? Because it's easy to stay with someone in the good times. It's not so easy to stand by them when the going gets tough. Okay, when the going gets rough or tough. That just means when your life situation becomes more difficult, maybe you run into some issues financially, or you run into some health problems, okay? If, your partner or your friend or this person who you have a relationship with decides to leave then they did not stand by you through thick and thin. Let's take a look at these two words. Here's a thick line right here, and here's a thin line, okay? So thick just kind of means wider or fatter, and thin means smaller or skinnier, more slender, right? Do you have a friend who has been with you through thick and thin? How has this relationship been important to you? So I want you guys to think about this for a moment. Who would you say is a person in your life? Doesn't have to be a friend, could be your romantic partner, could be a family member. And I want you to think about some difficult moments that you've been through in your life. I want you to think about who was there with you, standing by your side, supporting you, helping you through these difficult times, okay? That person stood by your side through thick and thin. They were with you through thick and thin. For me personally, that's my wife. What about for you? Jump the gun. To act too soon Or here's a great word, prematurely. Prematurely just means too soon. To do something before the right time. Okay, so there's a right time to do something, or we can say a proper time or a correct time to do something, right? But you jump the gun. You do it too soon. You do it before the proper, correct, right time. He jumped the gun and announced the news before everything was confirmed. Ayo, that is awkward, right? Imagine that you get hired to an exciting new job and you go on LinkedIn, you go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, and you say, guess what, guys? I got the job. I did it. Even though you're only 90% sure you got the job. Then you find out from the employer, actually, so sorry, you didn't get the job. Looks like you jumped the gun. You acted too soon, or you spoke too soon. Have you ever jumped the gun on something? What were the consequences? Once in a blue moon. I love this expression. I love this idiom. I feel a blue moon. The idea of a blue moon is really cool, really romantic, right? Okay, so something that happens very rarely, an event that occurs infrequently. These two words mean not often. They don't usually happen, okay? So if there's something that happens only, every so often, every once in a while, then that means it happens once in a blue moon. They only visit us once in a blue moon. So it's always special when they do. It's always special when they do, okay? Yeah, maybe if you have something every day, it's not that special. Like for example, if you do a facial mask, my wife loves to do these facial masks, do like a kind of a spa at home. Maybe if you do that every day, it doesn't seem so special. But if you do it every once in a blue moon, then it feels like more of a special treat, right? So what's something that you do once in a blue moon? Why not more often? Okay, why not more often? For me, personally, unfortunately, I only exercise once in a blue moon. Every once in a blue moon, I will exercise. I will work out. I don't work out that much. Why not more often? I think that's something I should work on, actually. How about you guys? Pause the video, respond to this question. On the same page. Ooh, love this one. It means to agree or have a shared understanding, to have the same perspective, or we can say outlook, to have the same outlook on something. Let's make sure we're on the same page before we finalize our plans. It's important that we all agree on the next steps. Yeah, there's a really simple way to understand this idiom. It means agree, okay? If you agree with somebody, then you two are on the same page. But it's kind of a fun metaphor to think about. Imagine, if two people are on the same page, then they are reading the same thing. But maybe I'm reading this and you are reading this. We are taking a look at different information. We have different sides of the story, okay? So maybe that will cause some conflict. It's better if you're on the same page and you are aligned in your opinions and your thoughts aligned. Okay, so can you think of a situation where it was crucial for everyone to be on the same page? For me, my family likes to travel together, but sometimes it's difficult to get everyone on the same page. I want to go here. My sister wants to go there. My dad wants to go to this country. My mom wants to go to this city. It's tough to get everybody on the same page. What about you guys? Here is a terrific expression, kick the bucket, okay? A bucket Right here is, maybe it's full of water. We can see a bucket here. Somebody is kicking the bucket. All right, it means to die or pass away. Okay, pass away is a nicer way to say it. Kick the bucket is kind of a crude or impolite way to express this idea. Like, if my friend, God forbid, passed away, or a family member, God forbid, passed away, I would not want to say, oh yeah, they kicked the bucket. Yikes, that's not very respectful, right? That's not really a proper way to say that. So you should only use this one if you're joking around. Okay, he has a list of things he wants to do before he kicks the bucket. I love this example sentence because I think what they're talking about, a list of things he wants to do before he dies, what they're talking about is a bucket list. Now, a bucket list is just that. It is a list of things. They could be activities you want to do, places you want to go to, food you want to eat, basically stuff you want to experience before you pass away, before you kick the bucket. Have you ever thought about what you'd like to do before you kick the bucket? I don't want any of my followers to kick the bucket, so I'm going to knock on wood. Knock on wood. That means, let's hope that doesn't happen. But I am curious, do you guys have a bucket list? You can pause the video and respond aloud. You should take it with a grain of salt. A grain is just like a small little speck of salt, a little piece of salt, right? It means to view something with skepticism. I'm skeptical. Or not take it literally, not take it seriously. To consider something as not completely true, okay? So I'd take his stories with a grain of salt. He tends to exaggerate. Ooh, great word here. Another way of thinking about exaggerate is stretch the truth. Okay? To, make your stories or make ideas a little bit more exaggerated than they should be. To stretch the truth, we can also use this word embellish. Maybe if you over-embellish your stories, then you add in some extra details to spice them up, and maybe those extra details didn't even really happen, okay? Can you think of a piece of advice or information that you take with a grain of salt? Going back to this example, I think that would be good to respond to for our speaking practice, right? Because the person in this example, his stories, this guy, when he's telling a story, you need to take them with a grain of salt. That means don't necessarily believe it 100% because he does exaggerate. He does stretch the truth. I'm curious, do you guys know a person like this? You can pause the video, let me know. Bite off more than you can chew. That means to take on more responsibilities than one can handle, or manage would be another way to say that. To attempt something that is too difficult to manage. Okay? He bit off more than he could chew when he agreed to lead 3 projects at once. We have another work-related example here. Yeah, maybe this guy, he's really trying to prove himself at work. He's really trying to show his superiors or the people above him, or sometimes we say the higher-ups. The higher-ups. The higher-ups at work, he's trying to prove to them that he's very capable. He's a very capable worker who can get stuff done. But this time, 3 projects at once, oof, that sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like he bit off more than he could chew. He tried to take on all of this work but it's too much. Okay. Another good way to think about this is you are trying to do too much. You're trying to do too much. Okay. Have you ever bitten off more than you could chew? What happened? Yeah, sometimes in my life, I've felt like I was biting off more than I could chew. When I was trying to do YouTube and I had my old job at the same time, I just felt that there was never enough time to really devote, to really give to all of these different projects, all of these different things I wanted to do. So at that time, trying to make YouTube videos, it felt like I had bit off more than I could chew. How about you guys? Hit the books. Love this expression. Okay, it means to study hard, to spend time reading and studying. She needs to hit the books if she wants to pass her exams. It kind of means if you need to hit the books, it means you have a lot of work ahead of you. It means there is a lot you need to do to get ready. Because if you hit the books, it implies deep study is necessary. Deep study is needed. You're not just going to do some light reading, you are going to do some intensive studying. Okay? When do you usually hit the books? Is there a particular subject you study the most? Okay. Was there a subject in college, for example, where you really needed to hit the books a little extra for? Maybe a subject that was very challenging to you, a topic that was very difficult, and you had to really hit the books extra to make sure you could keep up with the class? You could pause the video, let me know. Uh-oh. Miss the boat. Miss the boat. That means you did not make it onto the boat in time. It means you missed an opportunity. It means it might be too late to take advantage of an opportunity. So he missed the boat on the investment opportunity. What is an investment opportunity? It's an opportunity or a chance to grow your money. Maybe you invest in a new company. Maybe you invest in a startup. A startup is like a new company that's looking for investors so that it can make things happen. Well, now he regrets it, okay? Because obviously he missed the boat. Maybe this investment opportunity, let's pretend it was a company, okay? Maybe that company is now worth a lot of money and it's too late for him to get in at the beginning of the investment opportunity. So he missed out on a lot of money. He missed the boat. Have you ever missed the boat on something? What was it? Yeah, maybe you were late to the party. That's another way to think about this. Late to the party. Okay, now this is a good way to think about it because you're not going to miss the boat on something bad. Okay, if there was a missed chance to do something and then the result was negative, why would you want to be on the boat? So the boat is definitely headed somewhere good. It's headed somewhere appealing. Okay, appealing, somewhere that looks good to you. It's definitely a party. Maybe people will make money. Okay, maybe people will get some really good, positive opportunities. If you miss the boat, then you are missing out on something good. Has that ever happened to you guys? On the ball. On the ball. It means to be alert and efficient. Ooh, efficient. To be quick to understand and react. Okay? Efficient, maybe another way of thinking about that is effective, or you're doing a good job. Okay? So if you are on the ball, we also say that you are on top of things. You are on top of things. You have everything under your control. You're doing a good job. You know what you need to do and you know how to do it. You are on the ball. Okay, she's really on the ball and always catches mistakes before they become problems. Now, why does she always catch mistakes? That means she sees them, she identifies these mistakes before they have a chance to snowball. Snowball, that means get bigger and bigger and bigger and turn into problems. She's on the ball, she's alert, she's on the lookout for these things, and so they don't even have a chance to become problems. Describe a time when you felt you were on the ball. What were you doing? So this was a time when you felt you were being really efficient, really effective. You were on top of things. You were on the ball. You were paying attention and in control of the situation. Do you feel that way at work? Or do you feel that you're always playing a game? A game of catch up. Do you feel you're always playing a game of catch up at work, like you are trying to keep up with a quick pace of things? Or maybe you feel you are on the ball. You can let me know. Under the gun. Under the gun. You are under pressure to do something. You're feeling stressed or you're feeling pressured to accomplish a task, okay? So you're under a lot of stress. Uh-oh. We are under the gun to finish this project by Friday. Yeah, imagine, here's you, right? You're looking really freaked out, and here's a gun pointing right at you, okay? You are under the gun. So there's a lot of pressure to perform. There's a lot of stress to accomplish a task. To complete something, okay? We use this expression when there are expectations of us. Someone is expecting something from us, right? When was the last time you were under the gun? How did you handle it? Okay, so is there a time when someone had expectations of you or for you? We can say it either way. They had expectations for you, or they had expectations of you, and you knew that if you didn't accomplish whatever they wanted, whatever they were asking, maybe there would be some big consequences, right? That's why there's stress. That's why there's pressure, because you know there will be consequences if you can't get it done. So you are under the gun. If you blow off steam. What is steam? Imagine you are cooking dinner, right? Here's a pot. It's on a stove, and maybe there's water in the pot. It's boiling, getting hotter. Well, some steam will come out of the pot, okay? When water gets really, really hot, it turns into steam. So if you blow off steam, I want you to imagine that maybe you're really stressed out, right? Here's you. You're not looking too happy. You're not feeling too good. You're stressed out. And if you blow off steam, I want you to imagine that your head is full of steam. You need to let it out. Let it out. So, in other words, you release all of this pent up steam. If something is pent up, then it's kind of like building and building and building, right? Could be pent up energy, could be pent up emotion. The best way to think about blowing off steam is relieving stress. So you are letting out that steam that's been pressurizing and building and getting worse and worse in your head. You finally let it go. You release it, okay? After the stressful week, he went for a run to blow off steam. Okay, so, this guy, he had a stressful week. Maybe work was stressful. Maybe his personal life was stressful. How does he blow off steam? How does he relieve this stress or feel better? He goes for a run. Yeah. We can also say that you do these activities to blow off steam in order to get out of your head. You can say, oh man, I need to get out of my head for a little bit. I've been so stressed. I've been overthinking these problems. I need to get out of my head and go blow off some steam. Okay, so I love this speaking practice question. What's your favorite way to blow off steam? Yeah, if you're really stressed out and you feel like you need a breather, that's another good way to think about this. People often say, oh, I really need a breather. I need a breather from work. I feel like I can't breathe. Things have been so stressful, right? So what's your favorite way to relax? Relax and feel better. Do you like to watch movies? Do you like to go for a run like the guy in this example? You know, I saw something interesting online the other day. I saw an advertisement for something called a rage room. A rage room. I don't know if you guys have heard of this before. A rage room is basically a place where you can go and pay money to break stuff. Yeah. You give them money and they put you in a room with a bunch of really fragile stuff, breakable stuff, and they give you a bat and they say, okay, go at it. You have 1 hour, break all the stuff in this room and blow off steam. So for some people, they're so stressed out that they need something like this, like a rage room to blow off steam. But how about you guys? You can pause the video, let me know your favorite way to blow off steam, or type below in the comments section. Cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. To get to the point without wasting time. To skip unnecessary details and talk about the main issue. In other words, people often say, spit it out. Get it out, spit it out, come on. What do you want to tell me? What are you getting at? Don't beat around the bush. Don't beat around the bush, okay? I want you to be direct and spit it out. Cut to the chase. Let's cut to the chase. We need to decide on a budget today. Okay, so this sounds like a rather corporate example, kind of a business world example. We have some people and maybe they are in a conference room or they're in a room at their office and they're chit-chatting and they're kind of wasting a lot of time. Somebody says, all right, enough, no more wasting time. Let's cut to the chase. Why? Well, we need to decide on a budget today. He's like, we've got to figure this out today. We talked about this word already, like managing your money, setting a cap for how much you can spend. When was the last time you had to tell someone to cut to the chase? Or maybe you have a friend or someone you know, and they never spit it out. They never cut to the chase. They're always beating around the bush, or maybe they get lost in details when telling a story. We can call this getting sidetracked. Sidetracked. If someone is easily distracted, if they're easily sidetracked when telling stories, right, then it's tough for them to just be direct and tell a story in a linear way. A to B to C, that's linear. Linear, like a line, right? In a linear way. They get easily sidetracked. So you could pause the video, let me know. Do you know somebody like that? In the nick of time, just in time, it means at the last possible moment. To do something at the very last second, the very last moment. This is a pretty dramatic idiom, a pretty dramatic expression. They arrived in the nick of time. The train was about to leave. Yeah, maybe you've run into this situation when traveling before, when, there's a deadline, a plane or a train or something like that, a boat is about to depart, it's about to leave, and somebody still isn't there. You're waiting on somebody. I've been in this situation with my dad when traveling. A plane is about to take off. It's time to board the plane. They are boarding the plane. My dad is nowhere in sight. He's nowhere to be seen, nowhere to be found. And, the person at the counter who is checking tickets, they say, "Where is he? I'm sorry, we really need to go. If he's not here in 30 seconds, then we need to leave." And just then I see him running over. He'd been in the bathroom, right? But he arrived in the nick of time. If he had arrived 1 minute later, we would have missed our flight. So I've been in that situation before. How about you guys? Pause the video. Let me know. Up in the air. Up in the air. We can see a balloon here. It's up in the air. It just means that something is uncertain or undecided. It's not yet settled. It's not yet resolved. It's not yet figured out. Or we can also say sorted. Not yet sorted out. It's not yet dealt with. Dealt with. These all mean the same thing, okay? It is still unresolved. Unresolved. It hasn't been figured out yet. So our vacation plans are still up in the air. We haven't decided on a destination yet. Now, because they still haven't decided where they're going, then that means that their plans are up in the air. Their plans are uncertain. Their plans are undecided. Is there anything in your life right now that feels up in the air? Maybe you are between apartments. Maybe you are between jobs. Maybe you are between romantic partners, right? You're between different stages of your life, different phases. Maybe you are transitioning into something new in your life, okay? So does anything feel up in the air? Does anything feel kind of uncertain or undecided for you right now? Barking up the wrong tree. We've got a dog, and a dog goes bark, of course. Bark, bark, bark. We've got a tree here. To pursue a mistaken or misguided course of action. Okay, to follow the wrong path. That's a good way of thinking about this. If you think John stole the money, you are barking up the wrong tree. Why? He wasn't even at the office that day. So this course of action that this person in the example sentence, is pursuing, is following, it is a misguided or incorrect or mistaken course of action because, John couldn't have stole the money. He wasn't even at the office the day that the money was stolen, so there's no way it could have been him. Therefore, if you accuse John, if you pursue or follow this course of action of accusing John, of saying it was you, then guess what you're doing? You are barking up the wrong tree. Have you guys ever realized you were barking up the wrong tree about something? What was it? That can be a really awkward situation, right? I remember I had a friend tell me that he had hired a cleaning woman to clean his house, and something went missing. He couldn't find his necklace, right? And he was thinking about accusing the cleaning lady. He didn't do it. He was just thinking about doing it. So it was still up in the air, right? Up in the air, what had happened to his necklace. And just as he was thinking about accusing this cleaning woman of stealing his necklace, just in the nick of time, he found the necklace under his couch, right? So thank goodness he didn't go barking up the wrong tree. That could have been really awkward. In English, what does it mean if we say burn bridges? Yeah, here's two different riverbanks, and here's some water. It's a river, and over the river, they build a bridge. Okay, here's a bridge so people can walk across the bridge, but the bridge is on fire, okay? The bridge is burning. Now, that's not what this expression means. Idioms should not be taken literally or at face value. They are figurative, okay? They're figurative. In other words, they don't mean exactly what they say. They hint at something else. So, to burn bridges is not this. It means to destroy relationships or connections, to end relationship in a way that makes reconciliation. Ooh, great word. We'll talk about that. It makes reconciliation impossible. Okay, so if you burn a bridge, then that means there is no way of repairing this relationship in the future. You cannot go back from burning a bridge, okay? You shouldn't burn bridges with your old employers. You might need their reference someday. Okay, so reconciliation, that means, you make up. You make up. Maybe you apologize and then they apologize and you say, you know what, I'm glad that we can become friends again or become partners again or blah, 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 whatever the relationship is. And all of the past trouble becomes water under the bridge, to use a different idiom, right? So reconciliation. Reconciliation means making things better again. But if you burn the bridge of a relationship, if you burn that bridge, then reconciliation is going to be impossible. So you definitely, taking a look at the example sentence, right? You definitely shouldn't burn bridges with your old employers, your past employers, or the people who gave you a job in the past, because someday you might really need those connections for references. A reference is, when you're looking for a new job, you can talk with your new employer and say, well, why don't you, I'll put you in touch with my old employer. I will put you in touch with my old employer. I'll give you a reference. You can ask them about my work history, about my work performance. That's called giving a reference, okay? So you definitely don't want to burn professional bridges, especially, right? Have you ever burned a bridge? Has that ever happened in your life? Maybe it was professional, maybe it was personal. If so, do you regret it? We could also ask, has someone ever burned a bridge with you? That could be something really personal. I don't know. You guys can pause the video, respond to that question. The best of both worlds. I love this idiom. It's a situation where one can enjoy the benefits of two different things. Here's the key word, the benefits, having advantages from two different opportunities. Okay. You've got the best of both worlds. Yeah, so the benefits and advantages of two different things. Here's a person looking really happy. Here's thing number one. Here's thing number two. They've got the best of both worlds. Okay, so look at this example. Working from home gives her the best of both worlds. She can be with her family and still have a career. Okay, wow, this is a great example. So she gets family time and she can still have her career or her job. Okay, so this is something that people have to make a difficult decision in a lot of the time, right? Do you choose family or do you choose career? Well, for this person, she can have the best of both worlds. She gets both of these things, right? Yeah, people usually have to make a sacrifice. They have to give up one or the other if they're going to be successful in one of these things. If you want a successful family life, you have to sacrifice your career. If you want a successful career, you have to sacrifice your family. That happens to a lot of people, but in this particular example, sounds like they've got the best of both worlds, okay? Can you think of a situation where you had the best of both worlds? Talk out loud or let me know in the comments section. To steal someone's thunder. Oh, interesting. To steal, to take away their thunder. Yeah, if it's raining and there are storm clouds and there's lightning, you hear a loud noise, right? That's thunder. To take credit for someone else's achievements. To overshadow someone by taking their credit. Ooh, this is kind of a difficult idiom to understand. Let's first take a look at the example sentence. When she announced her news, right after his presentation, it felt like she was trying to steal his thunder. Ooh, interesting. Okay, so this guy, he makes a presentation. It sounds like this presentation was really important to him. This was a big deal. A big deal. It was really significant. It was really important to him, and all eyes were on him. Attention was on him. But then right after he was finished, this woman, she announced some news that she has, right? Maybe she has some big news and maybe she's a little bit jealous. Ooh, she's a little jealous of all the attention he's getting. So as soon as his presentation is finished, she steals the spotlight. She steals the show. She says, I have some news. I know his presentation was impressive, and I know that everyone's paying attention to him, but actually, how about you pay attention to me for a second? Here's my news. She stole his thunder. Sometimes this happens at weddings, right? It's the groom and the bride's big day, but some people will, propose at a wedding, or they will make an announcement at a wedding. And this can bother the groom, bother the bride, make them feel like, someone is stealing their thunder. So how about you guys? Has this ever happened to you? Have you ever seen it happen before? Beating a dead horse. Ooh, kind of a violent idiom here, kind of a violent visual. To continue discussing a topic that has already been resolved, already finished, already fixed. Okay, it's already done. To persist in talking about something, to persist in, that means to continue. To continue talking about something that is no longer relevant, no longer topical is a great word. Topical. That means it's not important right now. Well, if something is topical, then it is important right now. If it's not topical, then it's irrelevant. That means right now, it's not that important, right? So let's stop beating a dead horse and move on to the next agenda item. So, they're talking about an agenda, different things they need to do, and they've talked about these different points in the agenda. Here's the first thing we need to do, the second, the third, the fourth. And maybe they really need to move on and talk about point B, and they're still talking about point A. They've already solved point A. They've already figured it out. They have a game plan for point A. It's been resolved. It's been finished. It's fixed. It's good to go, right? But they persist in talking about it, even though they need to move on to B. So they are beating a dead horse, okay? Can you think of a time when someone was beating a dead horse? Cry over spilled milk. If you spill something, I'll draw a person looking really shocked here. They were walking with their glass of milk, okay? but it spilled onto the floor. It spilled, okay? It means to be upset about something that cannot be changed, to lament or feel bad over something that has already happened and cannot be undone. In other words, there's no point in feeling bad about it, right? But you do feel bad about it. So there's no use crying over spilled milk. We need to focus on fixing the problem instead of dwelling on it. In other words, we have this problem and there are a couple different courses of action we can take now that we do have this problem. We could spend all of our time worrying about it, feeling bad, asking this question, why do we have this problem? Why do we have this problem? Or we can get to work fixing the problem. So let's not dwell or spend time talking about it, spend time thinking about it. That's what dwell means. Let's not dwell on it. Let's not cry over spilled milk. Let's not, spend too much time worrying about this bad thing that's happened. The bad thing happened, so let's deal with it. Have you ever cried over spilled milk? What was the situation? I think another good thing to talk about could be, are you the kind of person who cries over spilled milk? Or are you the kind of person who rolls up their sleeves and gets to work to fix a problem? I'll be honest, I'm kind of a cry over spilled milk person. If something bad happens, it's really tough for me to say, okay, I know this happened, but that's life. Bad things do happen. Let's get down to business and sort this out. I tend to get a little emotional and have a bit of a pity party. A pity party means you feel bad for yourself. You say, ugh, why me? Why did this happen to me? Every cloud has a silver lining. Ooh, interesting. Imagine a cloud, and on a sunny day, there's sort of a glimmer around the outside of the cloud. Yeah, it looks kind of silvery, right? It looks silvery. The outline tends to have this silvery look, this silvery glow. There is something good in every bad situation. Every difficult situation has a positive aspect to it, okay? So look on the bright side. Look on the sunny side. There is always something good that can be found in a bad situation. That's what this expression, that's what this idiom means. Even though she lost her job, she believes that every cloud has a silver lining, and she's looking for new opportunities. Interesting. Okay, so this person, she's thinking to herself, well, yes, I lost my job, but let's not cry over spilled milk, to use the last idiom, right? She thinks to herself, let's not cry over spilled milk. I'm not going to have a pity party for myself. I'm not going to dwell on this. Actually, this could be an opportunity, a good opportunity, a great opportunity. Maybe losing my job could lead me to finding an even better job. So she's looking on the bright side. She sees the glass is half full, not half empty. I'm sure you guys have heard that expression, right? Here's a glass of water. There's two different ways of looking at it. Maybe one person says, oh, that glass is half full. They're a very positive person. The other person says, oh, that glass is half empty. They tend to be more negative, right? So I love this example. This is a really great understanding of this idiom. How about you guys? Can you recall a time when you found a silver lining in a difficult situation? Maybe something bad happened, or you at least thought it was something bad at first, but then it actually turned out to be something good. Yeah, I have an example, actually. I applied for a job just a couple of months ago as a high school literature teacher, because I've always thought that sounded like a really fun job, and I'm sure it would be a fun job, but I didn't get the job. I was rejected from the position, from the role. And at first, I was feeling really dejected. I was feeling really low. I was feeling really down. Okay. But then I realized, oh, wait, that would have been a Monday through Friday position. That would have eaten up all my time. I wouldn't have had time to focus on YouTube. And since then, in the last couple months, I've had time for my YouTube videos and we've gained almost 10,000 subscribers. So, you know what? That dark and stormy cloud, it had a silver lining. That silver lining is you guys. Haha. So, how about you? Have you ever been in a similar situation? Let me know. I have a feeling a lot of you guys already know this expression, very famous English idiom, the elephant in the room. It's really fun to think about this expression. Imagine a party of people standing around, talking, laughing, having drinks, socializing, and in the middle of the party, here's a really poorly drawn elephant, right? Here's an elephant in the room. Well, guess what? It's impossible not to talk about that elephant. It's impossible not to notice it, not to see it, right? So if there's an elephant in the room, there's an obvious problem and no one wants to discuss it. A significant issue that people avoid addressing. So even though there is an elephant in this room, people aren't talking about it, right? They're ignoring it. They're ignoring the most obvious thing. We need to talk about the elephant in the room, the budget cuts that will affect all of us. Okay, so we have another corporate kind of work example. Budget cuts, okay, so maybe their funding, maybe their money for this project is going to be cut. It's going to be lowered. Okay, they're going to lose some of that money. It's going to affect all of them. All of them. Maybe it will affect their salaries or their jobs, right? And it's really awkward to talk about. So nobody wants to address it. Okay, here's address. Nobody wants to, get into it. Nobody wants to, jump into that. Oh, here's another good idiom. Nobody wants to open that can of worms. Here's a can. It's full of worms, right? If you open that can of worms, that's like a messy topic that people could get emotional. People might start arguing. It could be a messy, nasty conversation, So nobody wants to be the one to do it. But this person is saying, hey, guys, we need to talk about this awkward thing that no one is talking about. Here's a question for you guys. Is there an elephant in the room at your workplace or at home? Is there something awkward going on at your job or in your house, at home, in your personal life that everyone is aware of? Everybody sees this thing, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to open that can of worms. Is that the case? You can let me know. Flying right along, we have hit the jackpot. And we have a slot machine here. The kind of gambling machine you might see in Las Vegas, right? So if you hit the jackpot, you achieve great success or win a lot of money. Another way to say it is you make it big. He made it big in Vegas. He hit the jackpot in Vegas. Okay, probably means you won a lot of money. Okay, or you got really lucky. You really hit the jackpot, okay? You really got lucky. He hit the jackpot when his startup was bought for millions. We talked about this a little earlier in the video. A startup, like a new company that's being formed and looking for investors, looking for people to give it money. Well, somebody bought this startup for millions of dollars. So this guy, he really hit the jackpot with this person by finding this person to buy his startup. Okay. Now, maybe he would disagree if you told him you really hit the jackpot. Maybe he would disagree with you. He would say, I didn't get lucky. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this company, right? I put a lot of effort and energy into this company. You can't say I got lucky. It's not luck, it's hard work, right? So people might be a little defensive if you told them that they hit the jackpot. But let's say you are gambling in Vegas and you get really lucky, you make a lot of money. We can definitely use this expression. Have you guys ever felt like you hit the jackpot? Or have you ever actually hit the jackpot? Maybe you had a scratch ticket. Maybe you were playing poker. Maybe you were gambling in Vegas and you won a bunch of money. Probably not, but every now and then someone hits the jackpot. I had something fun happen to me. Here's a personal story from my life. When I was traveling in Italy, me and my wife, we love scratch cards. A scratch card is, you scratch off these different spaces, and if the numbers are correct, if you get the right set of numbers, you can win some money. And we ended up winning 1,000 euros randomly from a scratch card that we got from a gas station in Italy, and we were freaking out. We felt like we hit the jackpot. How about you guys? Throw caution to the wind. You take caution and you throw it into the wind. It means you act recklessly or without regard for potential risks. You act rashly. These mean the same thing, recklessly, rashly. You don't think about the consequences or the bad things that could happen, right? So she decided to throw caution to the wind and invest all her savings in the new business. Ayo. To use another English idiom, we can say she put all of her eggs in one basket. Okay, I'll draw a couple of eggs here. She put them all in one basket. And they generally say that you shouldn't do this, especially with your money, especially with finances. You don't want to invest all in one place, right? You don't want to put all of your money in one spot. But she decided to throw caution to the wind. She's not going to listen to them. She's not going to think about the potential risks or the consequences. She's going to act recklessly. She's going to act rashly. And she'll throw caution to the wind, say, whatever, I'm just going to do it. I don't care what happens. And she's going to invest all of her savings in the new business. Oof, I hope that works out well for her. How about you? Are you the kind of person to throw caution to the wind, or are you a more cautious person? Pull out all the stops to do everything possible to achieve something, to make something happen, to use all available resources and effort to achieve a goal. Okay, so, they pulled out all the stops to make the event a success, sparing no expense or effort. Okay, so they did everything they could to make sure that this event was super high quality, super successful. They spared no expense. That means if they needed to spend a little extra money on something to go the extra mile, they did, and they put a lot of effort into this. They didn't do it halfway, right? They didn't do it halfway. They went all the way. To go all the way. That's a good way of thinking about this. Now, I want you guys to think for a second. If your friend came to visit you where you live, maybe they live in a different city, you don't see them very often, would you pull out all the stops to show them a good time? Would you spare no expense or effort to make sure they had a good time in your city with you? Maybe you take them to a really nice restaurant. You plan a big day out. You make sure every last detail is really, really good for them. Okay? Is that something you would do for a certain friend? I want you guys to think, is there someone in your life you would pull out all the stops for if they came to visit? Okay, here's a pretty cool one, skeleton in the closet. Okay, closet, obviously. I think you guys know this word is where you keep your clothes, right? But do you keep something other than clothes in your closet? Do you keep a skeleton in your closet? Or maybe even plural, skeletons. Okay? It means a hidden and potentially embarrassing secret. Maybe a dark secret. Ooh, something you really don't want people finding out about. Something undesirable. Okay, it's really not a good thing. Or shameful, something that would make you feel embarrassed and bad if people found out about that you keep hidden. Everyone has a skeleton in the closet they'd rather not share with the world. So basically, it means a dark secret. Do you believe everyone has at least one skeleton in the closet? Now, obviously, I do not expect or want you guys to let me know what your skeleton in the closet is in the comments section. You should keep that to yourself if you do have a skeleton in the closet, right? But I believe that this is an interesting question here. Does everyone have a skeleton in the closet? I guess it depends on what you define as being a skeleton. Maybe to some people, telling a little white lie might feel like a skeleton, but to other people, something really dark and violent or sinister or evil is their skeleton in the closet. So it's all about perspective, I guess. Straight from the horse's mouth, directly from the source, information obtained directly from a reliable source. Okay, so an example might be I heard it straight from the horse's mouth that the company is planning to merge. Okay, so sounds like this company that these people work at, it's getting ready to merge or combine, come together with a different company. And this person is saying, I heard it and we can believe it. We can trust in what I heard because I heard it straight from the horse's mouth. In other words, I heard it from a reliable source, somebody we can rely on, somebody we can trust. Okay, so can information straight from the horse's mouth always be trusted? Why or why not? It's kind of an interesting question for us to think about. Throw your weight around. This is a really interesting one. To use one's influence or authority to get things done, or maybe to get something that they want personally. To assert one's power or influence in an aggressive, and some might say selfish way. He likes to throw his weight around at meetings to make sure his ideas are implemented. Implemented just means put to use. Okay, so the guy in this example sentence sounds like he has a lot of influence, a lot of authority, a lot of power, basically. That's what these things mean. He has a lot of power over other people. Maybe he is the boss's son. Okay, maybe he's the boss's son or the boss's brother. Maybe he is the boss. Okay, he's got a lot of power and he uses that power. He wields that power. Wields like a weapon. He wields that power. He throws his weight around at meetings. Whenever they have a meeting, he throws his weight around to make sure his ideas are put to use, to make sure he gets what he wants. Have you seen someone throw their weight around at work? How did people react? Yeah, I'm curious if you guys have ever seen this happen. Maybe you work in an office setting or in some corporate business setting, and the power dynamics, okay? The different levels of power are a very real thing. And in other words, power really matters a lot. Maybe you've seen somebody abuse their power. You can pause the video, talk about it. Under the weather. I bet you guys know what this means. Very simple one. Just means you feel sick, you feel unwell, and we're talking about physically, okay? We talk about this physically. We don't really use it for talking about feeling mentally unwell. It's usually referring to your body, okay? Physically, how do you feel? If your stomach is upset, if you have a fever, if you have a cough or a cold, you are under the weather. She's been under the weather all week. Hopefully, she'll feel better soon and be able to return or come back to work. Ooh, this person is having a rough week. They are not having the best week. She's been under the weather all week. She's not been feeling good, right? So, do you guys think, I'm curious what you think about this. Do you think someone should be expected to work from home if they feel under the weather, or should they just rest? Do you have that expectation for yourself? Maybe you feel under the weather, but you say, you know what? It's okay. I'm going to push on. I'm going to keep working. Do you ever do that? Or do you believe in the importance of getting rest when you feel under the weather? A blessing in disguise. Ooh, a blessing in disguise. This is a lot like every cloud has a silver lining. These two are very similar. Something that seems bad at first, but results in something good. Losing his job was a blessing in disguise. At first, he was devastated. That means really, really upset. Here's a picture of somebody feeling devastated. Oh no, they feel so bad. Okay, so he's devastated. He lost his job, but soon after, he found a much better position. This is like the same example we saw before for every cloud has a silver lining. Okay, so at first he was devastated. Then he realized this was actually a blessing in disguise. Blessing means a very good thing. Very good thing. Disguise means, it's kind of concealed or hidden itself. So, can you think of a time when something bad happened, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise? I gave my example before of the high school literature position. I didn't get the job, turned out to be a blessing in disguise because now I have more time for other projects. A dime a dozen. A dime a dozen. Something very common and not valuable, easily obtainable and of little value. Okay, so common, you see it all over the place, you see it everywhere, and because it is ubiquitous, ooh, big word here, ubiquitous, that means you can see it all over the place, see it everywhere. Because you see it everywhere, it's not valuable. It doesn't have value. It's not worth very much. It's easily obtainable, easily gotten. You can get it easily, and it's of little value. So these kinds of gadgets just means kind of a small device, maybe a small piece of technology. These little things are a dime a dozen in the market. You can find them in almost every store, and they don't cost very much either. Okay, so that's an example of something being a dime a dozen. What is something you consider to be a dime a dozen? I actually used this expression earlier. I forgot that it's in our list that I prepared today. Beat around the bush. Beat around the bush, right? So you avoid the main topic. You do not speak directly about the issue. To speak indirectly and avoid the main point. Maybe you really want to yell at somebody. Just get to the point. Stop wasting my time. Stop beating around the bush. Okay, you're avoiding the main thing, the most important thing that we should be talking about. Okay, stop beating around the bush and tell me what happened. I don't have time for you to circle around the issue. Here's the issue right here in the middle. They are circling. They're not getting into the issue. Okay, what should you say if someone is beating around the bush? I'm curious what you guys think about this. Because for me personally, it's very difficult for me to be direct with people and just say, hey, I'm sorry, but could we just get to the point? Could we stop beating around the bush? That feels like it has a lot of potential to be impolite. So I'm very hesitant to tell someone to stop beating around the bush. Bite the bullet. You guys know that guns shoot bullets. Pew, pew, pew. Right? Those are some bullets, some very ugly bullets coming out of the gun there. Okay? It means you face a painful or difficult situation. You face the situation. You face it. Okay? You just get into it. You rip off the Band-Aid. Actually, this one is like the opposite of our last idiom. It's the opposite of beat around the bush. You tackle an issue directly, okay? She had to bite the bullet and get the surgery done. It wasn't something she wanted, but she knew it was necessary for her health. Yeah, so that's something to keep in mind with bite the bullet. It's not something you want to do, but it's something that you need to do. Like, come on, just rip off the Band-Aid, just get it over with. That's something that you hear people say a lot. Get it over with. Just do it already. Can you describe a time when you had to bite the bullet and do something difficult? Yeah, maybe there was a surgery you needed. Maybe there was a conversation, an elephant in the room that really needed to be talked about. Were you able to bite the bullet and have that conversation or do that thing that you didn't want to do, but you needed to do? Number 45, break the ice. I love this one. This one's so funny to me. If you break the ice, you initiate, that just means start or begin conversation or talking, okay? If you converse, you talk, you start talking in a social setting. Okay, some kind of social setting, maybe a meeting at work, maybe a party, to make people feel more comfortable, okay? Imagine that, you get together with a bunch of people and nobody really knows each other that well. Nobody's that familiar with each other. And at first, people are just kind of sitting there awkwardly, feeling uncomfortable. They're not sure what to do. Nobody wants to be the first one to speak, the first one to talk. Someone needs to break the ice so that conversation can begin and start to flow naturally and people can relax. He told a joke to break the ice at the party. It helped everyone relax and start talking to each other. Okay, so this guy, he decided that telling a joke would be a good way to, we can also say, lighten the mood. A good way to lighten the mood, to help people stop feeling so stiff and uptight, help them loosen up. Loosen up. That means kind of relax and get comfortable. Loosen up. Are the kind of person, should be a you here, are you the kind of person to break the ice, or do you wait for others to do it? I think that's a really interesting question. I personally am definitely not the kind of person to break the ice. Yeah, I'm kind of a shy person in social settings, and I really rely on other people to break the ice, and then I will start to feel comfortable. But I'm not going to be the one to do it. I am not going to be the one to tell a joke or to put myself out there and make myself vulnerable so other people can feel comfortable. What about you guys? Bury the hatchet. Bury the hatchet. It means to make peace, to end a conflict, okay? To put the past behind you and become friends again, okay? Maybe a bridge was nearly burned there, and sounds like, these two people, they have some history. Maybe, they were not on good terms, They, one did something bad to the other, or they had some kind of conflict, some kind of problem in the past, but they are able to bury the hatchet. A hatchet is an axe, right? And if you bury it in the ground, then it cannot be used violently. It cannot be used to hurt anybody. So you're saying, I'm not going to use this hatchet to attack you like maybe I would have before. I'm going to bury this hatchet so that we can no longer use it. And let's make peace. Let's be friends. Let's put an end to this conflict. Let's take a look at the example. After years of rivalry, so rivals are people who are opposed to each other, right? People who are not on the same team. They are enemies. After years of being rivals or rivalry, they decided to bury the hatchet. They realized their old feud, this problem that they had had with each other in the past, something they had argued about, well, it wasn't worth holding on to. And they decided to move forward as friends. So they decided to stop holding on to it. They decided to let it go. Move forward, put the past behind you. Have you ever had to bury the hatchet with someone? What was the conflict about? You can pause the video, let me know. Call it a day. To stop working for the day. To decide that the workday is over. Yeah, this is a pretty simple one. We've done enough work. Let's call it a day. Just means it's time to go home. It's time to stop working. We can continue with the rest of the project tomorrow. So we can keep going tomorrow, but that'll do it for today. It's kind of a fun, sounds like a Southern expression. That'll do it. That'll do it. That's enough. We've done our jobs for the day, so let's call it. Let's call it. That means let's make the decision that it's time to stop. So what time of day do you usually decide to call it a day when you are at work? Okay, if you're working, do you tend to work late? Do you work overtime? Or do you sometimes call it a day early and head home early? Take a look at this one, guys. Cut corners. Really useful idiom, really useful expression. Means to do something poorly, do a bad job of something. Or you do it cheaply. Why? In order to save time or money or energy. Maybe you're a bit lazy, right? To take shortcuts that result in a substandard outcome. An outcome is like the result of whatever it is that you're doing. Substandard, here's the standard. We hope that you can create something at this level, but you create something at this level. So it's below the standards, substandard, right? Just like, zero, maybe water freezes at zero. If something is below zero, we can say sub-zero temperatures, okay? The builders cut corners. The people building, they cut corners and they used inferior materials. So inferior, that's like low quality. Low quality materials, well, what happened as a result? The house needed repairs much sooner than expected. Yeah, they hadn't expected to need to repair this house for maybe many years. They thought that the materials would hold up, that the house would hold up and do just fine. But then it was revealed that the builders, maybe they were lazy, or maybe they were trying to save money, and they took a shortcut by using low quality or inferior building materials, or we can say supplies, okay? So because of this, as a result, the house needed repairs. It needed to be fixed up, okay? Patched up, needed to be fixed much sooner than they had anticipated, than they had expected. Are you the kind of person to cut corners, or do you make sure the job is done right? Easy does it. Easy does it. To do something slowly and carefully, to proceed with caution and gentleness, and definitely not cut corners. It's like slow and steady wins the race, okay? I'm sure you guys know that story about the tortoise and the hare, the turtle and the rabbit, right? Here's the rabbit. And of course, there is the turtle. You know, the rabbit wants to win the race as quickly as possible, and he rushes off. But the turtle, he's going slow and steady. Easy does it, slow and steady. Well, the rabbit is a little bit over cocky, overconfident. He ends up falling asleep because he's so certain, so sure that he's going to win this race. And you know what? While he's asleep, the turtle, who is taking it easy and living by this idea, by this mantra of easy does it, he wins the race instead. So the rabbit was really cutting corners. The turtle was living by this motto of easy does it. It means that you do something slowly and carefully. So easy does it with that box. It's fragile. It can break easily, easily broken. Okay? Easy does it with that box. Be very careful with that box. It's fragile. We don't want anything inside to break. That would not be good. Okay? So what could happen if the person in the example does not take the advice of easy does it, and he's rushing around, being reckless, being careless, cutting corners with this fragile box? What do you think is something that could happen? Type in the comments or speak out loud. Let me know. Now we come to idiom number 50, the last idiom on our list for today. Guys, if you are still with me, that's incredible. Give yourself a pat on the back. That is really awesome. You have made a huge investment in yourself and in your English by taking an effort to learn all of these idioms and expressions. Okay, so the last one, hit the sack. Hit the sack. It means to go to bed, go to sleep. Yeah, we are ending this episode on a really simple, really straightforward and obvious, easy to learn idiom. Now, a sack might be like a bag, right? And if you hit the sack, maybe you're getting ready for bed and you fall backwards onto the sack and your head smacks into the sack, right? So that's kind of what I think of when I picture this idiom in my head. I'm exhausted, so tired. I think I'll hit the sack early tonight. I've had a long day and I need some rest. So I've got a question for you guys. When do you usually hit the sack on weekdays, Monday through Friday? When do you hit the sack on work nights or school nights? How about weekends? Do you stay up late on the weekends? Do you hit the sack late on the weekends? You can pause the video, speak out loud, or let me know in the comments. A huge thank you to everybody who has made it through this video, who has liked this video and left me a comment or, a subscription on my channel. An even bigger shout out to my channel members. You guys are incredible. Thank you so much. If you want to become a channel member, just remember to click join. You can get a PDF of this lesson to follow along at home even more effectively. But guys, don't let your study session end here. I'll put another video up on the screen and I'll meet you there.